from Santa Monica, California, and Killarney, Ireland, with a sobriety year of 1969. Please help me welcome Lila.
My name is Lila, and I'm an alcoholic. Good
Hi,
morning.
Lila.
A little distracted only because I know that there's a tremendous amount of people in Ireland right now that can't get into your site. So I don't know about that, but I think Jane is helping work on that. Okay. Oh gosh. It takes me a moment to get going, and any distraction is a big deal. We had a little earthquake here this morning in Los Angeles. Just to cause a little extra madness. I'll tell you the truth because I have no other means by which to communicate. I come from that old school. I believe that sharing and the ability to share in an honest manner is the secret of Alcoholics Anonymous. I believe that if I had not been engaged with people from the very beginning that talked to me before when I had an inability to talk, believe it or not, I actually stuttered when I joined Alcoholics Anonymous. I was so terrified of anything real, of having to communicate. I was just terrified being sober. It was a shock to my entire system, including my mind. I'd walk into an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting after spending the day communicating perfectly fine, and I just couldn't speak. I'm glad now, because it forced me to listen. And that's what I have come to do in the 54 plus years that I'm sober. Listening is the greatest pleasure I've ever received in Alcoholics Anonymous. The calmness of listening, the quiet in the meetings, the perpetual 54 plus years of safety. Oh, I'd like to tell you that, I joined AA and everything was wonderful and, burning bush and all that bullshit. But none of that happened for me for quite a while, actually. So I'm a little distracted this morning. Last year our theme was what not and what now. What now was the theme last year. And that was great because after 30 plus years, decades of doing it with another group, because of COVID and et cetera, I joined with Kim and Jenny and the team here and Linda to join their thing to continue this annual event. And I said yes, willingly, because they are of extraordinary service to so many people in Alcoholics Anonymous throughout the world. And I was privileged and feel privileged to participate with them. So, and I was 54 years sober. I was being introduced to a new kind of group, even though, a lot of the people here know who I am and everything. And it was what now? And what now is great now. What now when you're 54? What now? What now when you're joining a new group of people that you're going to, God willing, spend some time with? Although after getting up this morning and having nothing I wanted to say, nothing I wanted to do, and not even wanting to participate, I don't know, what will happen, but that's the fact of it, So, and I thought, what the hell is the theme this year? Now, what the hell is the theme? Because I try to do as little preparation as I possibly can, because I believe that what you want from me is to share where I am today. I believe what you want from me is to share what it was like in my sobriety. You can go to all the rest of the meetings you want to and find out what it was like to be drunk. You don't need to hear that from me. You need to hear what it was like with people with my kind of time. Why did I stay? Why am I still here? How many times have I fallen down and gotten up? What does it mean to have a spiritual experience? What does it mean to have a spiritual awakening? What does it mean when all of a sudden that, oh yes, how many years did it take me to find out? Oh, hey, okay, I'm going to be fine now. All right. The tea, the coffee, it's all kicked in. I can feel it. The energy's coming back. Oh my God, it all works, doesn't it? Glenn, I see you pushing your little fingers up in the air, and I know Roy is there. And I know that I can see Lindsay and Mary and so many people that are And I hope that the people in Ireland got in, and Scotland and Canada and London. I mean, how is it that someone comes off of a bathroom floor and ends up years later having a communication with people all over the world where, I can walk in. I have actually walked into airports and somebody would tap me on the shoulder and say, you wouldn't be Lila R, would you? Because of the voice, and I thought, oh my God. And, it's like I met a friend, but I have friends in this room. I have friends in these countries. And something, not just friends. I have friends worthy of the name friend. Worthy of the name friend. I heard that one time and somebody said to me, are you worthy of the name being a friend? And I thought, I don't know about that. It took a lot of years for me to understand what it's like to be worthy. It feels to me like in the last year, 2, 3, 4 years, Jane and I have been through a tremendous amount of things. And, not that everybody hasn't, but life on life's terms can be challenging, no matter how long you're sober. I have no expectation that, you suddenly reach a point in your sobriety where, isn't it great, and you can handle everything. That's not true. It always goes back to the rituals. It goes back to finding your spiritual center. The only thing I know for absolute sure, is that this is a spiritual program. I have a spiritual disease. Now, yes, I'm one of those old-fashioned people. And frankly, I was going to say, and I hope I don't offend you, but, I don't care if I do or I don't really. I mean, I don't. I mean, I'm going to say what I have to say because it's how I am, and what I can share is only my own experience. I believe that I have a disease. I know I have a disease. Yes, I have all the symptoms that pertain to that disease that in my mind. Oh, I have the mind of an alcoholic. No, I have the mind of someone that had this mind way before they ever took a drink. I have the mind that a lot of other people who aren't fortunate enough to be members of AA and have a program and a ritual. I have a mind that is, this morning to center myself, I had to read a Member's Eye View. It's my favorite pamphlet, obviously, and thank you, Mary, and all the people that helped save it from being discontinued. It's not something that you normally find in meetings because it's in the cooperate with the community section. When in fact, I don't know an old timer that doesn't read this thing and go, my God, this is who I am and this is where I'm at. And they talk about sharing and they talk about all of that kind of thing. And they talk about consciously and deliberately turning the alcoholic into somebody. We don't drink with each other now. We stay sober together. Isn't that something? And then they talk about alcoholism being a disease. It is a disease. And the impact of the alcoholic's discovery from this fact from the lips of another remains undiminished. I knew, and I know today, that when I'm sitting in the meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, do I see anybody? Oh, there's a bunch of people that annoy me. But do I see anybody when the meeting starts, when the door closes? Do I see anybody that's not sitting there that isn't just an alcoholic? Just an alcoholic. And there's that thing in AA, the suffering alcoholic. Well, outside and inside the rooms. What about inside the rooms more? Because I'm telling you, there's people that I know that are aging, that need more help, that need more attention, that are suffering, that kids are like drinking, that they're dying, that there's lots of stuff happening to the person sitting beside me in the room. I can't afford to once, from the minute the door closes, now, once the door is open, trust me, I'm a human being. I'm out there doing my usual little, I don't consider them judgments anymore. I just consider them observations. But either way, because I'm spiritually sound now. So of course I don't have judgments, but I have a lot of observations. But the minute the door closes, the people in the room, they're just alcoholics to me. They're just alcoholics. Even the assholes are just alcoholics to me. And I know that they could save my life if I ever thought I was going to drink again. And I would put that dime, well, it used to be a dime, and now it's like, I don't know what, you just push a button and you're like connected to half the world. But either way, at the time that I got sober, it was just a dime. And that would be my person. And I could talk to anyone in that meeting about how I felt that day. And they could help me stay sober that one day. I stayed in Alcoholics Anonymous because of the spirit of Alcoholics Anonymous. I know I'm distracted, but that's what happens when you're sober as long as I am, and when you're tired, and when you just don't think you have anything to say, and you have a million things you want to say, because you don't want anybody to have any pain that they don't necessarily have to have. And you think of 1,000 ways in which, if they just go back to their spiritual center, if they just go inside, if they just know that the greatest reality is deep in them, if they understand that this program is a spiritual program, that our disease is a spiritual disease. Yes, where I left off was that I have a physical disease. If I drink again, I'm going to start craving more. I'm going to start craving more. And I know what that feels like, and I know what that means, because is there not one of us that sat on their own couch years ago or on their own bathroom floor that wanted to get off that bathroom floor? I believe that people have a desire to stay sober. They have a want. If you want to stay sober, you can. If you want a spiritual life, you can have it. You don't have to have it. But if you want it and you want more, it's all available to you in Alcoholics Anonymous. When I was on that bathroom floor and I was coming out of those blackout things, and after having destroyed the bathroom, like literally, I can't even believe such a soft person as myself could. I mean, I literally took off a shower door once. I don't know how it got off. I don't remember that part, but it was there and it was off its hooks and everything. And I thought, Jesus, Lila, the towel racks were gone. I must have been in a little bit of a small little rage. We tend to have those moments when we're drinking, and the glass was all shattered, and I was looking at myself and I thought, Jesus, who did that? Well, there's no one else in the bathroom but me, and no one else lived with me but me. So it could possibly be me. But, that wasn't what and then I had to oh God, to get up from the floor to see the mirror, I had to climb up my favorite material in the entire world is porcelain. I love the feel of porcelain. I love the feel of the toilet on my skin. I had been there many times on that bathroom floor. I believe, frankly, I come from the old school. If you haven't climbed up a toilet, you haven't really lived. I mean, I'm one of those real alcoholics, and up I went with the porcelain. Oh my God, I can feel it now. And finally I stumbled up to look in the mirror, and I saw this shattered person with, and I remember saying, oh, God, help me, God, help me. Now, you would think that after saying, God, help me, climbing up the toilet, looking in the wreckage of the bathroom, that I would be surrendered. No, I was enraged that I had asked God to help me. I got my strength back because I thought, I don't need anybody. I don't need God. I don't need anybody. I will never, ever, ever need anybody. And I will make it so that I never need anybody in my life. And off I went with this refound false energy, this pride, this unbelievable issue where my defense was I don't need you. And I will make myself so powerful within myself, and I'll get the money, I'll get the things, and I will fight to never need you. And off I went for God only knows how long, till the night came when I sat on that couch again, on my couch, and I knew I was stark raving mad, because I'm not certain 100%. I use October 1st as my AA birthday. I know I was in the meeting on October 4th. I believe for that 3 or 4 days, I didn't drink. I know that, but I know that, so my last drink was on October 1st, I think, middle of the week, and 1969. And I was stark raving mad. I went stark raving mad. I was not one of the people that actually, Lila, don't say it. I've seen so many things change in Alcoholics, just put that aside, change in Alcoholics Anonymous, Is there a person out there that you know today that's joining Alcoholics Anonymous? Is there one person that you've met recently, young people? Is there anybody that's joining AA that's a young person, or not a young person really, or anybody that's come back to AA after going out? Is there anybody there that hasn't used something other than alcohol? Come on, they're talking about stuff. I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. I have no idea what all of these drugs and all this kind of stuff is. I don't know. I only know that I lost a brother and a sister, and I know that it'll kill people. I know that when people leave AA and they don't properly address the fact that they're using when they take medication and they need somebody to handle it to them and hand it to them, for God's sake. I know for a fact that there's stuff out there. I know that when people come up to the podium and they talk about, I was this and I that, and I took cocaine and everything, great. I have no problem listening to that. If you have enough respect to talk about the fact that you drank and that you're an Alcoholics Anonymous because you also had a drinking problem, I'm good with you. I just don't want to hear about the drug thing only because I'm old-fashioned and I'll get pissed off and then I'll start breathing heavily and fold my arms like every other curmudgeon in the meeting. But that's what we get. Over 50, you get to fold your arms and then they all know, like, well, what happened? It can't help myself. It's like an involuntary reaction. But do we need to have a bigger, broader mind? Do we need to do what Bill Wilson said, never fear change in Alcoholics Anonymous? Oh my God. I was recently in never mind where, whatever, but it's like, we only talk about alcohol. I thought, who the hell only drinks? People like me. I was one of those only drank people. Oh gosh, I had a little marijuana with hashish sometimes. And I had like hallucinations and everything. I knew right away that if I took anything, I would be like I'd be in the loony bin, for Christ's sake. It was evident to me. And I came from the generation when if you had a joint at home, you had to like close the windows, make sure nobody knew, get the smell out of the house. Please. It's a different world. What if the spirit of Alcoholics Anonymous hadn't accepted me? But that's what happened, you see. A tiny little lesbian walks into a meeting at 22 years of age. Oh, I went where I knew it would be safe because I knew one of the men there. And they received me and they accepted me and they sat me down. Okay, so they sat me in the seizure row because it was clear to them that I was about to have a seizure. It wasn't clear to me, but it was very clear to them. We had a seizure row. We had a seizure row because in 1969, we didn't have a preponderance of places that you could go where you could pay $1 or $5 million with, all this spas and all this bullshit that you can have. I'm not condemning it. I'm glad it happens. We need places like that. But I don't relate to it. I don't relate to the revolving door. I have had too many friends that became drug counselors and then they forgot that they were just members of Alcoholics Anonymous. Where the hell are they now? Oh, I wasn't going to give this kind of talk, but I don't know how long I'm going to be on the planet. And as Jane just said from the kitchen, oh, for fuck's sake. No, I'll tell you something. That's maudlin and it's Irish, but that's who I am. I have the funny feeling I'm going to live a long time. I'm sober a long time. I'm healthy. I have friends worthy of the name friend. They'll carry me. I know how to light my own lamp. I finally accept that I know how to keep the storm out of the boat most of the time. Get splashed every now and then. I know that many times my prayer has to be, God grant me safe passage from my own mind. I know that I have to give back expectations. Oh, this is a thing that changed me forever in the last couple of years. Giving up expectations of how you should be, how AA should be, how the world should be, how politics should be, how they should be, how everybody should be. I was dying from expectations that I had set, killing myself. I had a great dinner the other night with somebody and sober quite a long time, all of us, and we were just chatting away about people and how much they were really great people and lovely and everything, but they were a pain in the ass, but that didn't matter because we loved them. And isn't that how you look at it? There's green people in my life and yellow people and red people. If you're red, you're out. If you're red that turns yellow most of the time, you're on the way out. If you're yellow that's green, you're in. If you're green, you're in the inner circle. The question is, Lila, when you wake up in the morning, are you green? I just lost my train of thought. The fact of the matter is, it's the spirit of AA that connects us. It's the welcome. It's the safety. Look back on your own sobriety as you sit here, whether you're a day, few days, 5 months, 5 years, 50 years, 60 years. There's a woman in a meeting whatever, when Kay was speaking the other night, and I thought, oh my God, 1957, look at that. Joan, who the hell are you? That's fantastic. We're here. And if we don't tell the truth, who the hell's going to? I can't go to meetings where it's a psychodrama, psychological, whatever. I want to hear about it. Fall down, get up, get sober. I don't want everybody's drunk-a-log all the time. I want to hear, what did you do today? How did you go from red to yellow to green today? What's your ritual? How do you stay sober a day at a time? Because isn't it the truth that the hardest thing we've ever going to have to do is stay sober a day at a time? And if it weren't for those old guys taking me into that meeting and welcoming me and saying, sit in that row, if it wasn't for the guy that had the seizure beside me and got taken out, the wallet in his mouth and the whole 9 yards, we were if it wasn't for all those Coca-Colas and chocolate bars they made me eat, I would have had one of those seizures. I didn't have to, because as it happens in AA, in the spirit of AA, the guy had it. I learned from it. And isn't that how it works in Alcoholics Anonymous? You go, oh God, but for the grace of God, there goes I. There I am. I say that in my mind every time I walk down the street here in Santa Monica, California. A little bit of homeless now starting along, also where we live in Killarney. And I think, oh, but for the grace of God. But you don't think that I think it in a meeting? You don't think that I learn from the people? Oh my gosh, how did they handle that? What did you do? What's the spiritual solution to that kind of problem? I don't know. They say in Ireland, there's an old saying, my nana, that if you never fear the wind, if your own haystacks are tied down. Isn't that what they tell you in Alcoholics Anonymous when you get sober? Tie down those haystacks. Get your house in order. Put your life in order. Do you know what they used to do to us? You're sober of 15 seconds, and before you know it, they send over 2 people to your house. They didn't have a lot of women, so they had a man and a woman come over. Then they go through your house and they take away all the stuff that you've hidden for the day when, you might run out. And they find all the little miscellaneous bottles and stuff that you have in the closet. And then they don't make, you beg them to let you give them away. This is good stuff. This is really good stuff. Let's just give them to the neighbor upstairs. He's an alcoholic. You could use it. Oh, no. They make you throw it out. They want you to hear the crashing in the dipsy dumpster thing that they make you throw it in. It's very dramatic, And then when you're finished with that, you think, oh God, one of these people are going to get out of the house, leave me alone. And then they say, oh, no, we're going to have to look at your finances. Your finances? Like, whose business is that? And they do. And they'll say, what's this shoebox with all these bills in it? Well, I just forgot to pay them. Like I would blank out, file them, put them away. So they sat me down and they gave me a budget, and I declared bankruptcy for $3,000. And they made me return my car, my new car. And I had to pay people like, I don't know, $1 a month or something. But I did it. I did it because I was so terrified that I would return to that bathroom floor. I was so terrified that I would never get off that couch. I was so terrified that I didn't have anywhere else to go but Alcoholics Anonymous. I was so terrified that I didn't feel safe anywhere else. I was so terrified that every night I showed up at 8:30 down there in Huntington Park to the hole in the ground, going in there with all those old guys. I was so terrified that I would blow out the remaining breath of that little candle in my soul. You see, I know that. Okay, so I'm no longer a practicing Catholic, but Jesus, when you're born in Ireland, you trust me, that it's in there. It's part of your nature. And so I used to imagine, like, where would my soul be? Like, well, if this is my heart, it's got not a lot of room in there. So I'll make it like here. So I made a little spot for my soul. And that night on the couch, I thought, Lila, you're a breath away from leaving. You're a breath away from dying. And you know what? I wanted to go. I wanted to die. I begged to go. I had the white light thing the night before, in that 3 days before I finally came about. I went mad. I ripped my skin. I saw hallucination. I went into complete and absolute DTs. Anyway, it's too long a story and it doesn't matter. But I ended up at the hole in the ground in Huntington Park. So that's how I came in there. I got dressed to go to the meeting so you wouldn't know that I was an alcoholic. Who else go? That kind of thinking. That kind of thinking was always there. I'm ready to die. I'm begging to die. I want to die. I'm afraid to die. Can't kill myself. Forget that. Try that. Doesn't work. And yet here I am getting dressed in a really, so that nobody knows I'm an alcoholic, and that you can see that I'm actually better than you, because you see I have that new car out there. Thank God nobody bought that bullshit. They'd all been on the bathroom floor. He was only 34, 35 years around at that time. The guy that they knew, Bill Wilson, for God's sake. And then the guy goes and dies in 1971. I'm 2 years sober. I thought, great. I finally asked for help, and the guy that runs the joint dies. What kind of, no. So, of course, that self-seeking and that self-obsession did stay with me for a good 20, 30 years, but that's fine. Stay sober long enough, you're going to have plenty of time to work this out. And everybody works it out in their own way, in their own possible way of reaching their own great reality deep within and their own spiritual experience. I cannot bear any more people that tell you what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, unless you're new. So if you're new, you got to do whatever they want you to do. That's the only way you're going to learn anything. You have to do every single thing they want you to do, especially if you're like me and you think half that crap's stupid. Why would you want to do anything like that? Well, because someday you'll be sponsoring somebody, and guess what? They'll think what you're telling them is stupid too. And you'll find out that everybody does it with such sincerity that they want your best interest. They wanted my best interest when they said to me, I was so desperate when I joined Alcoholics Anonymous. I think desperation is a wonderful gift that we're given. And then over the years, don't kid yourself. If you're really, really lucky, you might have maybe 1, 2, possibly 3 times in your sobriety where you will be rendered desperate sober. You will be rendered desperate sober. And it's because you made it through those desperation years at the beginning, and because you learned the habits of sobriety, because they told you these are the 4 things you have to do. You cannot drink again for the rest of your life. Oh, yes, we do it a day at a time, but it's for the rest of your bloody life. Oh, don't scare the newcomer. I would like to scare the newcomer. You don't think that I was terrified that I drink again when I first got sober? And these guys said, look, you can't drink again for the rest of your life. Forget that. How we do that is a day at a time. And you're going to have to attend meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous for the rest of your life. I thought, oh, Jesus, God, there's no way. In 3 weeks, I'm out of here. I'm just here like, restore myself, get back in the saddle. Everything's going to be great. I attend meetings regularly. I don't know how not to do it. I have practiced it for all of these years, and I cannot not do it. I don't want to not do it. I attend meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous because I want to. Many times I've come because I needed to, but there's a whole different opening when you come because you want to. I stay sober every single day because I want to, and because I know how to do it, and because I know who to call if I forget. But you see, it's hard to forget when you're a regular member and attending meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. And how you do that is one meeting at a time. And then they told me, well, you're going to have to read the big book and eventually the 12 and 12 for the rest of your life. And I thought, well, for God's sake, badly written. Yeah, 1930 something. Jesus, all that God stuff in there. Are you kidding me? Proctologists and a stockbroker get together and look what they make. Yes. A guy that used to go see Edward Casey and believe in ghosts and spirits and stuff meets a guy that puts you down on your knees. Of course we have that book. Of course it was written then. And you know what some one woman said to me was, could it get to be more white bread than it is? I said, no, because we wouldn't have been able to sell the damn thing. What has changed as much as me over the years? As much as me, and I'm a changer. I'm a seeker. My perception of when I read the book. It's as if all the little leprechauns in Ireland and sometimes Scottish, you got to watch those Scottish people. They're really dangerous to you. But anyway, all the Scot and all the Irish little leprechauns, they got in there and they changed the words. They made meaning. I have never read the same thing twice. I don't even now. I don't remember things. I don't know what pages. I mean, oh, I remember some of the pages, like page 29, which I've had to remember. Because so many people say to me, you talk about all of that spiritual stuff, which is what today is going to be about, by the way. But then I think, page 29, each individual, big book, each individual in their personal stories describes in their own language and from their own point of view, the way he established his relationship with God. Eventually I got that. That's why I'm here. I don't want anybody to have to suffer as much as I have suffered because I didn't use the gifts in front of me. I didn't know how to properly use the program. I did at the beginning what everybody told me to do. And yes, I returned the car to Bank of America, walked in, gave the teller the keys, said, look, I'm on AA. I have to give you back the car because, my sobriety's at risk here. And I can't drink again now. I won't make it. And anyway, that's the story. And it's in the parking lot. The keys are in the thing, and goodbye. And by the way, here's the paperwork I have. See ya. Sure, you can't do that. We don't take. And I walked out. I went to a doctor because he said, well, at that time, most of us were very bad off. Again, don't forget that the preponderance of the people that I knew when I got sober, there were no rehabilitation. There were no hospitals. We weren't getting anything. There was nobody bringing us down, bringing us up. We were doing none of that stuff. We were shaking it out. I fell out of the car when I went to my first meeting, looked around to make sure nobody saw me. But that's okay because, just don't think because you're a nut or because you're an alcoholic that you're not thinking, okay, on red alert all the time. What are they thinking about me? Oh, what a shocker it comes when years later you go, what are you thinking about them, Lila? And what the hell do you care enough? What the hell? What do we end up after dinner, this great amount of sobriety in the restaurant saying? They're great people. Is that good enough? It's good enough. So for the rest of it, who cares? I thought, who cares? Maybe I'll make that my new idea for 19 to whatever year we're in. 2024. Dear God, because I get a new idea every April or May or something, I create one. Please help me to pause, remain calm, and trust your intuition. That's been my one for the last few years. Stay away from that intuition one. Believe me, trust me, it's dangerous. But I thought, why don't I just say, please help me to pause and not care? That might work for me. I don't know. If you've been around a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And a while doesn't have to be a bunch of years. It has to just be enough on the spiritual journey where you've fallen down and gotten up a few times. Anyway, I had to read this pamphlet this morning just to prepare for this talk. No wonder you're in such trouble with me today. It said old ideas were we had to let them go. Absolutely. We had to unlearn everything we ever knew. It's true, isn't it? Oh, but then they tell you things that you don't want to hear, like, that, I have the disease. If I drink again, I'll start the craving, blah, blah, blah. It's just a matter of time. I'm out of there. When I was 22 years of age, I had such severe alcoholic poisoning. I wouldn't have lived anyway. I would have been one of those people at a young age in the hospital. I knew it. They used to bring us down to the wards in the hospital. That's what we used to do. They take you down as part of the ritual. And you went down to Los Angeles County General Hospital, and they walk you into the drug ward. And at that place, and at that time, the alcoholics were on one side and the drug addicts were on the other, because God forbid we should mix each other up, like God forbid. And now here I am saying, look, Jesus, God, have some spiritual understanding that there isn't a person out there that doesn't belong, and it's their choice if they have a desire to stop drinking. Let's get over ourselves. And if you're one of these people that can't change your old ideas, then for God's sake, talk to some new people and learn something. Go to some meetings outside of your little group and find out. I can't bear for people to tell people what to do. I want to share with you what I have done. And then you can go do what you need to do to make this program your own. And it doesn't matter when that kicks in. The first few years, you do whatever they want you to do. That's how you practice doing things you don't want to do. And when you're in the habit of sobriety, not drinking, a day at a time, knowing, forget it when the bagpipes play and your mother dies. Oh, I don't know if I could start not drink then. Well, yeah, you can. Going to meetings for the rest of your life, whether you like them or not. If you haven't been to a meeting you have disliked, you haven't been to enough meetings. Reading the literature, seeing something new, begging for it to be about you, because this is what this is about. The literature is for you. Staying one step ahead of your little baby that you're sponsoring so that you know what to tell them. Who benefits the most from that, do you think, really? The sharing we do with each other. And then they tell you the big one. You have to find a God of your own understanding, and that will take you the rest of your life. I am so excited that there's more for me to find on a spiritual realm. Because I think, wow, could there be more? Because I have found within myself the nature of who I am. I've returned to that little girl in Ireland. I've returned to the belief in magic. I have more hope than I have ever had. I have more peace of mind than I have ever had, because I have rituals and program and ways and steps within which to do that. I get it. Is there more? You bet there is. I feel like I'm new. I'm like a new person spiritually. Have I felt this before? Definitely. If you go back and listen to those talks that Glenn and I recorded years ago, sure, I was having this thing every few years. Okay. And then a few years later, I'm walking down the street and thinking, well, you finally got that. So talk as much as you need to, share as much as you can, talk about what's going on with you, because eventually you'll hear it, you'll feel it, it'll belong to you. And the day will come when you think, oh, I finally got that. I'm one of those step people. I believe step 1, 2, and 3 is pause, pray, proceed. I believe that they're reflective steps. I'm an alcoholic. I don't want an unmanageable life because I could drink again if it's unmanageable, so I have to have a manageable life. Okay, good. How are we going to do that? Be honest enough to know when it's unmanageable. Be honest enough to tell the truth to yourself eventually. The only reason we tell the truth to ourselves is because we tell it to some other person in Alcoholics Anonymous. That's how it works. I go to step 2 because I want to be restored. Restored to what? I'm not insane. Well, I'm not sane either now. I have a delightful mind. But I like to be in balance, just in balance, it'll do. Just balance. What do they say? If calamity and serenity match, you've had a good day. So I just would like to be restored. And I no longer have come to believe. I know you can be restored. I, like this Joan probably, and a whole bunch of other people that I know in this room tonight. And I hope all those Irish people got in, and the people from France and Scotland that are my friends, and Canada and the United States and London, especially London. Great friend. We know we can be restored because we have been restored. And the third step, what the hell is it? Do you know the third step, how it works? What page are those steps on, Jane? Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. I want to say it right. What page are the steps on in the big book? Would you tell me, Jane? Made a decision. Do you know what that decision is? Are you doing it by yourself or are you not? That's the decision. Turn your will and your life over. Do you know what your will and your life is? Everything. There's nothing else. So you got to turn your whole self over. Paul, pray, proceed. Now, why is that on my mind this morning? Because when I woke up, I didn't have it in me. I thought, what the hell are you going to share? You don't want to go off on some tangent about whatever and whatever, this and that and the other thing. And if the first step is the step of honesty, God knows it's in the second step, the step of hope. And so when you get to the third step, don't you need the faith to be able to do that? I have no problem with knowing that I can't do it by myself. I absolutely can't do it by myself. I don't want to do it by myself. And there's no God that's coming out of the sky going, blah, blah, blah. I have to probably call somebody else to get the message. Now for me, anyway. And then the fourth step, the courage. No wonder it's called step principle of courage. God willing, I do them. I do one every year just to keep myself, dusted off. Don't have to have a deep clean vacuum as much anymore. Just a little zzz. Catch the little spiders that still go on up there. And I read it to somebody like anybody else. I miss my friend Gretchen. We did that together for 48 years. We'll miss her a lot. And then in step 5, you talk to somebody about it. And they listen to you. And they share their experience if they have it. And if they don't, they tell you to go talk to somebody that may have had that experience. I talked to a woman just recently who said, I'm not just getting anything from my sponsor. I said, well, change the person, for God's sake. Not everybody grows at the same rate. Not everybody gives the same thing. Not this is Alcoholics Anonymous. In the spirit of AA, make one of the questions of your life. Do I need a new sponsor? Should I get one, or am I just running away? You'll get the answer, but you have to be ready. You have to have the honesty and the hope and the faith and the courage. And then you're going to have the conversation to be able to share with somebody. And then you're going to have to accept that maybe I need more. And what's my responsibility in step 6 after you accept? Because it's the step of acceptance, isn't it? It is for me. You make it your own. And I have to take responsibility for what I can do in a given day. And then I have to cooperate. Oh, Jesus. It says clearly in one of the places here, God will not render you white as snow and keep you that way without your cooperation. I wish I hadn't read that stuff so that I now remember it. But when I have done that, when I have been honest, and when I want to be restored and have the hope, and when I have the faith of 3, and I have the courage to look at myself and what's wrong with me, and when I have to talk to somebody else and they tell their share experience what's wrong with them so that I have a bigger understanding that I'm not alone, and I've made the connection, the spiritual connection. And I accept, yes, Lila, this is where you are now, the good and the bad of it. And don't forget, in an inventory, equal to what's wrong with you is what's right. And it'll be the hardest inventory you've ever had to write in the first few years of your sobriety. Be equally difficult the longer you're sober, because you're going to have to write that stuff, and you know you have to accept it as soon as you do. But anyway, it's a whole other story. And so when I get to accept all this stuff in 6, what happens then? What about the stuff I can't deal with? What about the stuff I don't know what to do about? What about the questions that are produced for me in 6? Well, you know what I do every day? Every other day sometimes, but I did it this morning. What do I say? I don't have anything inside of me. I don't want to. I'm scattered. I'm tired. I've been through a lot. A lot has happened to me in the last few months and to Jane. We're tired. What do I say? Please help me. Please help me. You don't think that's my step 7? Because it is. Humbly ask. I'm the shortcoming. I got that a long time ago. So I accept and I humbly ask, what do I do about this? Because I don't know what to do about that. I'm not sure yet. Should I? Should I not? Should I call? Should I not call? I write all those questions down. I look around to see if there's anybody that's going to distract me in the day in my own mind, that's going to get in the way of my getting the answer. Because I'm the only one that fills myself up with distraction, and people are my greatest problem. Never had a person or a problem that didn't have a person attached to it, ever. But I understand step 9. Do I need to do something? Well, I ask a question about it. But the first paragraph in the 12 and 12 in step 9, before you ever go out to make the amends, say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry means nothing. Before I go and change my behavior, and when you know that you are responsible solely for changing your own behavior, when you use these steps not to get along with everybody else, but when you use these steps to change yourself, God, the responsibility that becomes yours is unbelievable. And you're so grateful to read a paragraph at the beginning before you run out there and make a fool of yourself again. This time I won't do it. I'll be different. Well, the only way I'm going to be different, the only way I'm going to be able to show up for this meeting today is if I have the qualities in step 9 that I must have. Good sense of timing. Well, hell, the thing starts at 9:30. I got to tune in at 9:20. Good judgment. You can't afford not to do it. You can't afford not to do it. There's one person out there, Lila, one person that needs to hear you, one person, because that's what they told me. Never mind how many people you speak to, there's one person, and you're talking to one person, and you talk to them one person at a time. And it doesn't matter how big or how small that meeting is, you're talking to one person. Oh, yes, so every now and then you have a gift and you can put it all together and you can speak well. But that doesn't make you any better than a guy that makes the best coffee in a meeting. You're just a coffee maker, Lila. And I've been around AA long enough. And before I was on Alcoholics Anonymous, my father was one of the first members of AA in Ireland. My brother Aidan was named after one of his sponsor, Aidan McSweeney, who started AA in Cork, Ireland. My brother died as a result of this disease. You don't think My father was in Alcoholics Anonymous in Toronto and in the United States of America. And that's how I made the contact with that man that I trusted, that I went down to that meeting, my first meeting, because I knew he would be there. And I knew he'd welcome me to his Alcoholics Anonymous, not my father's Alcoholics Anonymous. And when I knew about all the personalities, because they were around our swimming pool, talking to my father before I got sober. And so if you think for 1 second, I don't get that this program has to be about me, my program, my understanding, my way, as a result of following people that light their lamps the same way I light mine. And so for the first few years, I kind of like did it. And I understand these qualities of courage and prudence and all that you need in step 9. But I didn't know that if I did all that 1 through 9 stuff, did all of that all I was doing was tuning myself up, that I was like a car that just needed to be repaired. And that every now and then I had to go into the shop and do 4 and 5 and, get, tuned up and get an oil change and all that kind of thing. Why? Because I get it now. Because 10 and 11 were in front of me. And every step before the step you're working on prepares you for the next step. And they couldn't be more clear. Even in the big book, they couldn't be more clear. My favorite parts of the big book that I read all the time, 83 to 80 something. Stop reading when you feel. It says, this brings us to step 10. Have you noticed that in step 10, the promise, stop fighting everything and everybody, is not in the promises in 9? Because you're not ready for it. Because in 10, you enter the realm of the spirit. The spiritual experience, the spiritual awakening, the beginning of the spiritual life, the beginning of knowing that this disease that I have, while it's physical and will call a craving for me and will kill me, if I don't treat it spiritually, if I don't treat my mind and my body and all of me spiritually, I am at risk. And I can't afford to be at risk. So I have to do 1 through 9 all the time, so that I can get to 10, so that I can take full understanding that the great reality is deep within me, that I have to know who the nature of I am is, that all those 9 steps never do nothing more than make me realize, Lila, you're worthy. You're enough. You don't have to fight anymore. The battle's over. The war is done. Stop fighting. You don't have to fight anymore. You've entered the realm of the spirit, for God's sake. You're here. This is what it says. The world of the spirit. I think it's 11 that says the realm. I'm not so much. And I talk about receiving. They're saying you're receiving. Well, guess what? I am receiving. Well, Jesus, what time is it?
10:32.
Oh, for God's sake. Good thing we're on step 11. And I thought, I called Kim this morning. He said, I don't have anything to say, really. Maybe we'll do the Q&A for longer. Whatever. Not my fault. I asked the question. I believe that all my ancestors are up there. My God, I don't have enough trust. I'm not spiritually evolved enough to know that there's something out there, some big thing. I don't know if there is or there isn't. But my Nana's there, my granny's there, my mother's there, my sister's there, my brother's there, my relatives are there, my friends are there. Oh, trust me. You don't think that many times I say, would you help me to the big meeting in the sky where they all are? I know more people that are dead in the sky than I do in regular meetings now. And my ancestors are my God of my own understanding. G-O-D, ghosts on demand. That's who I have. And they're there for me and they take care of me and they do it for me. Because I have entered the realm of the spirit, because I go to 10 and I say, I'm here. I've asked my questions. Can you help me? I'm here. And they say, God, Lila, that's great. And now we're going to give you the power to carry out whatever is the next day's adventure or today's adventure. This is what you have for today, Lila. We're going to make it happen. Now, are you okay? Do you see things the way we see them? And I thought, what do they mean? What do they mean? Do you see things in a positive light? Do you see the solution? Are you still hung up on the problem? Are you still trying to solve the problem, Lila? The problem, the problem, the problem. Why don't you look for the solution? Why don't you make yourself a cup of tea and a slice of toast with a lot of butter and jam? Sit down. Sit down. In the silence is the answer. In 10 and 11 is the answer. In the receiving of the consciousness of your God is the answer. Yes, my God or my dead relatives. Find your own. That's why when I sit in the meeting and I see just other alcoholics, do you think I say to them, are you a Muslim? Are you a Jew? Are you a Catholic? Whatever the hell you might be, a Christian even. Are you a Republican or a bloody Democrat? Are you a Democrat? Or you, what the hell are you? I am not a Republican. Don't misunderstand that statement now. I just said bloody Democrat. Jesus Christ Almighty. Oh, she even talks about outside issues, if necessary. If they bother me, I'm going to talk about them. I'm not talking about them to change you. I'm talking about things to help me. And as a result of 10, being in the realm of the spirit and going to 11 and getting all this power, guess what happens to me? I know it works. It really does, it says. And I know I'm ready to run out that door and I can do 12. I can go out. So on my day this morning, my ritual was simple. 1, 2, 3, would you help me? I have to look in the circle of the day. My hand is on my forehead and I expand it so I make a circle. I put the triangle in the middle of the circle because I understand that triangle. And I put 4, 5, 8, and 9 and all my crap in there. And then I have 6 pop out and say, what do I need to do only today? And 7, will you help me with what I cannot do today that I know I need help with? And then on the bottom of that, I put 10, and at the bottom of my little triangle, I put the word 10 and 11. And I tap my foot for 10 and say, I'm in the realm of the spirit. And I tap my foot for 11 and I say, now, give me the power. And guess what? I go to 12 outside the circle. I'm out the door and I do the best I can to be the best representative of Lila Ryan, who's worthy of being called a friend, of Lila Ryan, who absolutely will, under every circumstances, do anything she has to do to stay sober today, of Lila Ryan, who actually can love people, of Lila Ryan, who's unafraid to fall down and get up, of Lila Ryan, who has no interest in what you think about her, but has all the interest in what she thinks, her friends think, and her ancestors think, and who can walk with the pride of a woman who now lives in her own country most of the year, who has shared over 30 years with a woman of magnificence and powerful sobriety, who has affected lots and lots of people. I have had the privilege of being with people who have delivered and started AA in foreign countries. I have had the privilege of walking the walk with such extraordinary human beings. I have had the privilege of always remembering I'm just a little coffee maker in an AA meeting. And when they don't have coffee, I'll wash the dishes and I'll put away the chairs. I never want to be anything but a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I am a member of Alcoholics Anonymous in good standing 24 hours a day because I don't know how not to be. And I'll tell you why it has happened to me, because I practice it. I practice and I practice and I practice and I practice, and I will never stop making room. I will never stop using the steps to make room. I want more. I'm an alcoholic. Why wouldn't I want more? This is the nature of who I am. I want more. And God, from once you realize what's going on in that realm of the spirit and that they're there for you and that the comfort and the peace, oh, Jesus, you have no idea that I still walk into a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous and I sit there and I am safe and I am at peace. And you know what? I wish that for you. I wish that for you a day at a time as you enter this year of tremendous trouble in the world outside of us. Outside of us is all this trouble. And don't forget the plaque as we face all of that. Inside ourselves, outside ourselves, in our family, God knows there's trouble. But there was a plaque on Dr. Bob's desk under the title of humility, perpetual quietness of heart, It gives us no trouble. It is to never to be fretted or vexed, irritable or sore, to wonder at nothing that is done to me, to feel nothing done against me. It is to be at rest when nobody praises me, and when I am blamed or despised. It is to have a blessed home in myself, where I can go in and shut the door and pray to my God in secret and be at peace, as in the deep sea of calmness when all around me is seemingly trouble. I wish you that. Thank you very much.